Some call me the sage from South Central. Others call me the czar of common sense. But you can call me Larry Elder. And you're invited to join me tonight, starting at 7, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Well, before voters went to the polls in Virginia yesterday, outgoing Governor Terry McAuliffe, former DNC head, Clintonista, was asked about this internal rancor that Donna Brazile has created all week as excerpts of her book have been
how
leaked.
How long is it? What's the name? What's the title of her book?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is that too soon?
Excuse me while I whip this out is the name of her book. And
well, she wanted people to man up.
There's no question. And Terry McAuliffe had this to say.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Let's
listen to Donna Brazile one more time.
Nobody cares.
On this week.
Nobody cares
listen.
about what Donna Brazile has said in a book.
Governor, 1 second.
Nobody.
Let's listen to Donna Brazile.
I care. I mean, I don't know. And I also don't appreciate him being so obstreperous with the lovely Katie Tur on MSNBC. Where are his manners? Democrats have gotten some relief from Donna Brazile because of the performance of their candidates, particularly in Virginia. And I would say the top line is going to be the governor's race. That was an underdog race for Gillespie. But the House of Delegates going from a supermajority to what looks a supermajority Republican, 66-34, to what looks to be now a majority Democrat. I think it's like 50-49 with 2 seats too close to call, 50-49 Democrat. Or excuse me, 1 seat too close to call. That would make 100. For Democrats to be able to potentially pick up 17 seats in a single night and go from the super minority to the majority, that speaks to something bigger going on than just the matchup at the top of the ticket. And for more on both of these topics, we're pleased to be joined by our friend Joe Trippi, of course, former campaign manager for Howard Dean, Fox News contributor, author of the book The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Joe, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you guys.
So, I want to be fair because often when the D.C. press corps obsesses about Bob Corker taking a shot at Trump and Trump taking a shot at Bob Corker, they're running around suggesting that the Republican Party is melting down because two people within it don't like each other that happen to be high profile. So I don't want to overstate the internal consternation Donna Brazile is creating. I'd rather give you a chance to characterize it. But what about that, and what about it's seemingly this effort to put the Clintons out to pasture and their resistance to that effort?
Well, I mean, look, I think that fight's real. I mean, I think, and you're right about that there is real consternation about what happened within the party in 2016. That's clear, and I think it's a shock to a lot of Democrats. The financial straits the campaign was in, that Clinton had to, that they needed Clinton to bail him out, and all that. Those machinations are real, and they're newsworthy. They should get covered. But I think also Terry McAuliffe is right. In the end, that is something that the Democrats, organizationally within the party structure, are going to fight about and argue about, and hopefully fix that part of the mess. But in terms of voters on this, out there at home, I don't think they care about the Corker stuff. I don't think they care about the Donna Brazile stuff. I think that's where Terry McAuliffe was right. And I think the results last night, not just in Virginia, but New Jersey, and not just there, but in New Hampshire, Washington State, that happened across several different states and elections last night, sort of shows that. I mean, certainly that was covered pretty strongly last week. Hasn't been a good one in terms of that kind of coverage. On the other hand, people went to the polls, and I don't think somebody stayed home because Donna Brazile wrote a book that did shake a lot of Democrats.
Well, do you think that Trump?
You got to put your microphone on. Yeah. Oh no.
What?
Amy, I'm sorry, Amy has been silenced here. We've got a little technical difficulty. Hold on a second. So,
that's good for me.
Yeah. No,
hey, guess what? I'm
he's
back.
Oh, no. See, now you've done it.
Oh, no.
Now
okay,
you've
well,
done
so
it.
the Trump. So obviously, what I'm hearing you saying is that the Trump backlash maybe has begun. But do you think this will carry on into the midterms?
Well, I mean, look, I'm one of those. Don't read a whole lot into these. You can't. Most presidents, I think, if you go back through historically in the modern era, these two states, both Jersey and Virginia, go to the opposite party of the party that just won the White House. That happens almost like automatically. I think people expected the Virginia race to be closer because of the campaign Gillespie was running, and Northam made some mistakes. I think, admittedly, and so they thought it was going to be closer. But I don't think we should be surprised that Virginia did this. On the other hand, I think once you get beyond those two states and see what happened in New Hampshire, Washington State, and other places, it starts to look like, both parties have problems. Let's get over that one. We have plenty of them in the Democratic Party, but it is starting to look like there's a real problem with Republicans being able to unify in these kinds of elections, and going into 2018, if they don't figure that out, are you with Trump? I think Gillespie kind of tried to straddle. He had one foot in Trump land and one foot in sort of Republican establishment land, and he couldn't pull it off. That doesn't mean someone else can't, but I think they're still struggling for what's the combination that pulls the party together out there, and if they don't figure that out by 2018, I think it's likely to be not a good year for the Republicans. Well,
right, and so there was a heightened turnout in Virginia, and I just go back to what I said at the outset, those House of Delegate races, to go from 66-34 to perhaps a 51-49 minority. That's seismic, and that necessarily incorporates a lot of different types of districts and a lot of different types of races, and so it speaks to something that's more pervasive than just a singular statewide race.
No, absolutely, and we saw this with Obama after Obama won.
The other way
is you energize the opposition party. Their activists and voters become more energized, and yours kind of go back to, hey, we got we're in charge now, and I don't have to get up in the morning. There's just less energy, and that's what happened to Democrats in 2010. I don't know if that's what we'll see in 2018, but it sure looks like there's, Democrats are energized, and there's just some, whether it's division or, like Democrats suffered in 2010, where we felt like, hey, we've got everything, the presidency, the Senate, and the House. We got them beat. Well, it didn't turn out that way, and maybe some Republicans feel that as well.
Well, one of the interesting things in the exit polling yesterday was that among voters in Virginia who put guns as their number one issue, it basically was split 50-50 between Northam and Gillespie. Northam with an F rating from the NRA, and so I wonder if you think that means that the landscape is more fertile for advancing gun control as part of the Democrat Party platform nationally.
I don't know if that's the case. In fact, I doubt that's the case. I think what it does mean, though, is that the other issues are kicking in or are more important, whether it's health care, whether it's tax reform. I think there are other things that right now are, make that a less dangerous issue. But it's always going to be. That issue is just one that's obviously been tough, even after some of these really tragic, big tragedies. You can see immediately how it totally changes the how things are talked about afterwards, and everybody wants to try to be careful about what they're saying in both parties, by the way. So I just think that's always going to be a hot thing. It may be years away before we can have a rational discussion about it, and I don't mean a rational gun control, but just let's all talk it out and find and try to do something. But I don't think much is going to get done right now, and I don't think Democrats are looking to try to get it done. If they were, you'd see somebody putting a concerted effort on Capitol Hill to reach across party lines to do something, and I don't see any signs that that's going to happen.
Do you see any indication that maybe the landscape is shifting away from the Comrade Bernie, Elizabeth Warren base of the party into perhaps candidates more like Ralph Northam? I mean, he's hardly like a traditional, kind of Southern Democrat by any stretch, but he did say he would sign, legislation to ban sanctuary cities. That was an issue, and some other issues where he certainly struck a more Mark Warner posture than Warren or Sanders.
Yeah, I think, look, whenever you see it, those fights are going to happen in the primaries, for sure, and they're going to happen across Democratic primaries in 2018, absolutely. But I think what we saw last night in Virginia is the Democratic Party, at least today, at least last night, has less trouble pulling back together after a big party fight. That was a fight between the sort of Sanders folks, progressives, and sort of establishment Democrats in Virginia with Northam. And Northam won, and some of them did take a walk. Howard Dean's the organization he founded, Democracy for America, walked on Northam in the last week or two of the campaign, but he still won by 9 points last night. So I think the great unifier here in a lot of ways, this was again with Obama, the great unifier for Republicans in the midterms was Barack Obama. I think the great unifier after having some tough primary fights will be Donald Trump.
He is Joe Trippi, former campaign manager for the aforesaid Howard Dean, author of the book The Revolution Will Not Be Televised, Fox News contributor. Joe, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Great to be with you. Take care.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.Pro answer line since Amy's silent.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
This is like a bad nightmare when you can't. You're